This video is brought to you by Saturday's video. If you haven't yet, please click the link in the description below to vote for your favorite character of 2024. Also, whether you agree on these lists or not, do hit like or dislike, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, since it does help out the channel and it keeps me motivated to make more. Hello everyone and welcome to the top 10 mind characters on Bleach Brave Souls. Now before I begin, I wanted to point out something that you may notice when watching this video that I noticed when making it, and that's the severe lack of recent mind characters. Of the last 15 characters to come out, it should average out 3 per attribute, but there's only been 1 mind character, and that continues, since in the last 28 characters, there's only been 3. No idea what's going on, I just wanted to point it out, so you're not surprised when you see some older characters on this list. With that said, you guys know the drill. This is my opinion, everyone's will vary, yada yada yada. Let's begin.
波動の57大地転用終わりだよ
Starting off the list, we have Yumichika, the 1000-Year Blood War version. He has a really high SP as well as Frenzy at 2, 3 in Guild Quest, as well as a strong attack recharge ability letting him spam his attacks, a melee damage ability that increases the melee damage he deals and is heightened during Guild Quest, and a similar ability for his killer, though unfortunately he does have the worst killer in the entire game. That said, killers are becoming less and less important, but it still bears mentioning when one of his abilities affects his killer and the killer itself is not that great. That's not to say the character's not good. He's great, a phenomenal Guild Quest character, and even outside of that, he's really good. All of his attacks have a chance to inflict debilitating drain, and if he does, he gains an 80% SP boost. Or does he? He actually gets 120, because his soul trait adds an additional 40. And he's got some great strong attacks, with a beyond full screen strong attack 3, a beam shot strong attack 1, and a bombarding strong attack 2 that deals massive damage. He's able to take damage fairly well thanks to his damage reduction ability. He can attack while being attacked thanks to poise. He's completely immune to being paralyzed. He's got an increased chance of inflicting drain against all heart attribute enemies. He's got guard break, and his special can inflict weakened defense. You know, with all these Guild Quest characters, I really should consider making a list specifically for them, since it just feels wrong putting someone so good at Guild Quest at number 10.
もうなんで私が覚悟しなさい驚いた
Next up is the Halloween version of Ninny. Now I've said it before, they make Burn the Witch characters to last. Ninny is no exception. She has a really high SP as well as Berserker at 40%, Frenzy at 1, full stamina damage at 20, Sharpshooter, and some great strong attacks, all with excellent range thanks to having Havoc at 20. They can all inflict both debilitating burn and weakening, and her strong attack 1 is especially likely to do so because it's a hybrid vortex move. With all that said, we haven't really started talking about what makes this character great, and that's the fact that she's a gauge character that starts out her gauge at 70% full and can easily fill it thanks to her gauge rampage ability. When activated, she not only heals for 30% of her health, but also boosts her SP by 50%, gains an additional frenzy, and her berserker goes from being 40% to 140%. That is a lot of damage. While it may not be consistent damage, thanks to Gauge Rampage, I would argue it's consistent enough, and personally, I like the fact that you can choose when to activate a gauge, as opposed to just hoping you have the SP boost when you need it. So yeah, it is weird to have a 2023 Halloween character on this list, but believe it or not, she's not the oldest character on here.
やっと静かになりました
We are going to jump ahead a bit though and talk about Meninas, a very difficult character to place on this list. Typically, characters with the ability to deal 100% more damage to enemies that are not affected by a status element. Meninas makes it a lot easier, since they not only gave her a 50% Berserker but also Frenzy at 2, but still really difficult to place. Meninas is very much a resource character, and has all the abilities that come with one. That said, she hits hard, incredibly hard, thanks to the abilities I mentioned before. That said, she is very much a support character, and the combination of support character and damage to non-ailment afflicted enemies don't really go together, since at that point you're hoping that the rest of your team don't inflict their status ailments on the enemies. Luckily though, even without that ability, she hits incredibly hard, and as I mentioned, she is a support character. Her strong attack 2 not only does damage, but also heals the entire party and grants them a barrier. She's also got medic and multi-barrier at 2 to boost that strong attack. Additionally, she's got shared complete status immunity, so the entire party is safe from all status ailments. She may be a bit slow compared to some of the other characters on this list, but she's pretty good just about everywhere, except PvP, but that's just its own thing now. Next up, we have the 8th anniversary character, White, who has a really high SP as well as Frenzy at 2. He can inflict both debilitating drain and laceration on all of his attacks, and he's very likely to do so against hard enemies since he has the Saber specifically for them. If he does inflict it, he not only gains an SP boost of 80%, but also gets a boost in his damage, since he has an ability that increases the amount of damage he deals to drained enemies by 40%, and another one that increases the amount of damage he deals to lacerated enemies by 60%. And he is very likely to do so, not just because he has Frenzy at 2, but because he has really good strong attacks for it. His strong attack 3 is a beyond full screen hybrid vortex move, his strong attack 2 is a 2-part lunge move, and his strong attack 1 is a hybrid vortex move that turns into a lunge move. His constant drain heal and complete status immunity make him difficult to take out, he naturally increases the movement speed of mine characters, plus he has Sprinter at 3, he's got 2 killers of Soul Reaper and no affiliation, and he's got a heavy hitting special, not just because the amount of damage is increased thanks to his SP boost and individual ailment damage increase, but also because he's got another ability that boosts mine special damage by 30%, he's got bombardment, and he can inflict weakened defense. This guy is definitely an anniversary character and it shows.
国上天元廟を断崖上へ命はとうに置いてきた
Okay, number 6 time. You know what that means? PvP character. For mine, the honor belongs to the human version of Sajin, the new one of course, who is very similar to some of the other PvP characters we've talked about in previous lists, with one big exception. He has Flurry at 3, and it's not just for the first 10 seconds, it's permanent. This would be pretty big when considering that some characters have a 10-second invincibility, including him, but he also has another ability that completely ignores that. He can also prevent last ditch survival, block heart and mine attribute boosts and debuffs, can pierce through barriers, is completely immune to being paralyzed, can attack while attacking thanks to poise, well that feels like it should be just a given, can reduce damage thanks to his boosted damage reduction soul trait of 21%, can further reduce damage at 50% health, and gains a 60% boost in normal attack damage at the same time. He has persistence at 5 seconds in case he would go down, and he's got 2 killers of Sternritter and Captain, 2 very relevant killers in PvP. This one might be the shortest explanation in the video just because he's such a simple character, he does one thing and he does it very well.
絶対に許さねえガルバノブラスト
Okay, so the next 3 are kind of interchangeable in terms of placement. All 3 are very similar Guild Quest characters, with a few things working for and against them. In the end, only very minor things decided their placement. Let's start with Candice, shall we? She has a really high SP as well as Frenzy at 2, 3 in Guild Quest, a boosted strong attack recharge link of 14%, and the other Guild Quest abilities that typically Guild Quest characters have. Their damage type increased by 10, 30 in Guild Quest, and killer by 30, 50 in Guild Quest. Let's just refer to those as Guild Quest abilities so I don't have to keep repeating myself. She can also inflict debilitating paralysis on all of her attacks, she gains a boost of 80 SP if she does, and she deals an additional 40% more damage to any enemy that is paralyzed. She's got Sharpshooter as well as Sprinter at 2, complete immunity to paralysis, Havoc at 20, and some great strong attacks, including a Beam Shot strong attack 1, a hybrid vortex move Beam Shot strong attack 2, and a beyond full screen strong attack 3. She can also inflict weakened defense on her special, and she's got a Captain Killer Plus. I would have preferred her to have a more PvE friendly killer, but she does have Disabler against all Soul Reapers, not just Captains, making her excellent in PvE as well. I'm a big fan of lightning based characters in anime, and it's for that reason that she's actually my favorite Quincy, and I'm really glad the remake of her is so good.
挽回発火の咎め
Next of the Guild Quest triplets is Rukia Kuchiki, the 1000-year Blood War version, not the other mine version, though she's pretty fun too, though not as good as this one, who also has Frenzy at 2, 3 in Guild Quest, and the other Guild Quest abilities. Like Candice, she also has a boosted strong attack recharge link, as well as Disabler against Soul Reapers, though unfortunately her killer is a Squad 0 Killer Plus, which, as stated earlier in the video, is the worst killer in the game. And yeah, killers are mattering less and less, but this is still a bummer in other areas where killers are multiplied. Speaking of which, has anyone heard anything about them revamping Senkaimon? It's my favorite part of the game by far, and I would love it to be difficult again. Anyway, Rukia also has shared complete status immunity, Marauder, and can inflict debilitating freeze and drain on all of her attacks except for her strong attack 2. This is because that's a boost move, and a pretty good one at that. Not only does it benefit from Enhancer and Booster, but it's also a pretty good strong attack. It's a hybrid vortex move, and even though it does take the length of a boost move to come back, she can lower it if she's at full health, which because of her drain ability, she is likely to be in. I don't typically like high SP boost, healing, or barrier characters, since that strong attack recharge time typically gets in the way of spamming moves, but it certainly helps helps when they have a full stamina strong attack recharge ability like she does. It not only brings that move back quicker, but also allows her to spam the other two strong attacks more frequently. Finally, and I don't know why I waited till the end to mention this, she's also got Berserker at 50, which does set her apart from the other two characters in this trio, since the other two do have to meet a specific criteria in order to gain their boosted damage. For Rukia, it's just there by default.
ご苦労様です。あら、今年も無事皆の元へ届けますよ。
The final character in the trio of interchangeable spot placements, the newest main character and the last main character since mid-October, as crazy as that sounds seeing as we're in mid-January, the Christmas version of Retsu. Like the others, she has a high SP, Frenzy at 2, 3 in Guild Quest, and the other Guild Quest abilities. She also has a strong attack recharge ability, she's completely immune to being weakened, she gains an 80 SP boost if she were to inflict a status element, and she's got Havoc with some great range on her strong attacks, including a beyond full screen strong attack 3. All of her attacks can inflict debilitating paralysis, and she's got a full stamina damage ability of 20% and a full stamina damage link of 35%, for a grand total of 55% more damage from all of her attacks, as long as her health is full. Now as weird as it sounds, Rukia is actually the better healer, since all of her attacks except for her strong attack 2 can inflict drain. Retsu does have a way to get back health, however it is locked to her EX move, which as far as EX moves go, is not the best, but it does heal her and the entire party for 50% of their health, and at the end of the day, it is also an extra attack that the others don't have. Still, it is a bummer that if you lose any of your health, both that ability and her link are useless. Though she does have other means of protection. Her special, in addition to dealing paralysis, also inflicts weakened defense, hits twice as hard thanks to bombardment, and grants the entire party barriers. I do think the ultimate deciding factor though is in the killer. I did mention that killers aren't as important as they used to be, but they are still pretty important. Retsu here has a Quincy Killer Plus, as well as Disabler against all Quincy's. These girls may be Guild Quest characters, and they're very good even outside of that, but a good killer will make you more viable in a variety of areas of the game.
ザンクトアルタール終わりだ
Let's travel back a whole year to last year's end of the year character, the king of the Quincy's himself, good old Yhwach. Yhwach here has quite a lot going for him. Not only does he have a really high SP as well as Berserker at 40%, but he's one of those characters that gets stronger as the game progresses. After 20 enemies defeated, his melee damage goes up by 20. After 40, he gets Berserker at 40%. At 60, he gains Devastation at 60%, in addition to his already Devastation at 60%, and at 80, he gains the use of his special. The last two are really good, don't get me wrong, but it's the first two abilities that actually stand out, since those actually amplify his strong attack strength before they hit multiple times with Frenzy. And speaking of the strong attacks, let's talk about them. They can all inflict debilitating weakening, and they're extremely likely to do so. His strong attack 1 is a hybrid vortex move, his strong attack 2 is a seeking vortex move, and his strong attack 3 hits beyond full screen. If at any point they do inflict weakening, and they're very likely to do so, his SP shoots up by 80%. Plus he can spam them thanks to his boosted strong attack recharge link. He also has poise, so he can attack while being attacked, he's completely immune to all status elements, he's got Sprinter at 2 and Long Stride, he's got Marauder, and his special, in addition to dealing extra damage thanks to having Devastation twice, also inflicts weakened defense. Finally, he's got not one but two killers of Hollow and no affiliation. Anyone else wish his sword looked a bit more like Zangetsu? Only one more video to go, so if you haven't voted yet, please do so now. With that said, here are a few honorable mentions.
あとはリボンで飾り付けるだけ。よし、できた。
灼熱のこの刃食ろうてみよ見せてやれよどうだどんな気分だ奪われた挽回でとどめを刺されるのはいや覚悟はいいか行くぜ決夜天将ようおめえを守りに来たぜ月夜天将
Finally, at number 1, we have Isshin Kurosaki. Not only does he have a really high SP, but also Frenzy at 2, Berserker at 50%, Disabler against all heart enemies, a strong attack recharge ability, Marauder, Havoc, and some great strong attacks, including a Beyond Full Screen Strong Attack 3 and a Seeking Vortex Strong Attack 2. All of his attacks not only inflict burn but also laceration, and as I mentioned, they're very likely to do so thanks to his Disabler against heart enemies. If he does, he gains a whopping 120 SP boost, 40% of which comes from his Link. His special, in addition to dealing burn and laceration, also inflicts weakened defense, his attacks can't be interrupted thanks to poise, he's completely immune to being weakened, and he has one of my favorite abilities in the entire game, Rampage. In fact, he's actually the best character with Rampage. When all is said and done, he caps out at 120% SP boost, 50% Berserker damage, 100% Rampage damage, and Frenzy at 2, with a Quincy Killer bow on top. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, do hit like and subscribe to the channel. One more attribute list to go before the top 10 most popular characters of 2024, so go vote now if you haven't.